I never thought this system would last so long, and I certainly never thought I'd be a grandfather.
So, Grandpa, what was it like when you were my age?
Well, when I was about your age, you see, back then, some were looking to a certain date as signifying the end of this old system of things.
A date for the end of the system. Now where did some get that idea from? What will the 1970s bring? It means that only a few years, at most, remain before the corrupt system of things dominating the earth is destroyed by God. Quote from Awake magazine, 1968. Watchtower published material is the Watchtower's worst enemy, in proving they have been guilty as acting as a false prophet. Man's creation will end in 1975. Why are you looking forward to 1975?
I remember Nathan Knorr very well. I was at Bethel headquarters for 4 years while he was president. Nathan Knorr, under the influence of Vice President Fred Franz, was responsible for the 1975 false prophecy.
I remember how excited we all were as we studied this book, Life Everlasting in the Freedom of the Sons of God, and learned that 1975 would mark the end of the 6,000 years of man's history from the date of Adam's creation. That meant that Armageddon would come in 1975, and then the final 1,000 years of Christ's millennial reign would start. We all stepped up our field service time.
Jehovah's Witnesses as runners, even though some of us have become a little weary, it almost seems as though Jehovah has provided meat in due season, because he's held up before all of us a new goal, a new year, something to reach out for, and it just seems it's given all of us so much more energy and power in this final burst of speed for the finish line. And that's the year 1975. As one brother put it, stay alive to 75.
Of things. A few even went so far as selling their homes and quitting their jobs. I admit, I was ready to see this old system go away too.
What? Some were selling their houses and quitting their jobs. Who told and encouraged them to do such foolish things? Yes, the end of this system is very near. Reports are heard of brothers selling their homes and property and planning to finish out the rest of their days in this old system in the pioneer service. Certainly this is a fine way to spend the short time remaining before the wicked world's end.
I remember how we were kept on the edge of our seats at our assemblies in the late 1960s, while a society paraded one couple after another onto the platform, who had sold their houses and goods and had gone full-time in the ministry for the few remaining months before Armageddon. Some remortgaged their homes. Some emptied their bank accounts. My family and I sold our home and moved to where the need was greater, so all could hear the message of the Watchtower prior to 1975.
Don Nelson was a Gilead graduate in 1956. He was trained for world missionary service. He is pictured in the Proclaimer's book on page 525.
I remember with some nostalgia the happy days in the Kingdom Hall locally where my wife and I attended. The way the Watchtower representatives, the circuit overseers, would come by and say, edging forward and whispering confidently into the microphone, "Only 37 months till Armageddon, brothers." And then on succeeding trips, "Only 24 months till Armageddon, brothers," and Only 12 months till Armageddon, brothers. Unfortunately, my wife and I left the Watchtower Society in 1974, which was the year before Armageddon was supposed to hit and demolish the world. So we never did find out how the circuit overseers dealt with only 1 month till Armageddon, brothers, or only 1 month after Armageddon, brothers, because we had by this time found out the lie of the Watchtower chronology, and we saw it for what it really was, insane.
1974 was a very difficult time for me. I was freaking out. I had to make a decision, a critical decision, because my wife had to undergo surgery and the doctor said she needed a blood transfusion. And I had to make the decision. And the brothers were encouraging me to make the right decision to please Jehovah, because after all, Armageddon was only a year away, and even if she died, she'd be resurrected right away.
You could just imagine the fear. I had so much fear. It was so frightening. I was near death. I was in a hospital, and the brothers and sisters told me to take my stand for Jehovah and don't accept a blood transfusion. If I accepted the blood transfusion, I would die at Armageddon. If I didn't and I died, I'd be resurrected. The Great Tribulation was coming. It was 1974, and 1975 was at our doorstep, and by staying loyal to Jehovah, I would be resurrected. So that was the hope I was given.
A few years before 1975, the elders convinced me to sell my stamp collection, which had been in my family for 3 generations. Had I kept it, it would be worth over $1 million today. When the date 1975 failed, I realized that they were wrong, and I soon left the organization.
If you are a young person, you also need to face the fact that you will never grow old in this present system of things. Why not? Because all the evidence in fulfillment of Bible prophecy indicates that this corrupt system is due to end in a few years. Therefore, as a young person, you will never fulfill any career that this system offers. If you are in high school and thinking about a college education, it means at least 4, perhaps even 6 or 8 more years to graduate into a specialized career. But where will this system of things be by that time? It will be well on the way toward its finish, if not actually gone. Quote from Awake magazine, 1969, May 22nd. Notice how this was presented as a fact. You will never grow old in this present system of things. All the evidence in fulfillment of biblical prophecy indicates that this corrupt system would end in a few years. No sense going to college or seeking a career. This system will be well on the way toward its finish, if not actually gone.
Evil needs to be seen for what it is. It's this concept, this organizational concept, that the organization is everything. You see, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that this organization is God's one channel, that all of God's direction for people on the earth comes through this channel. And the men on the governing body believe it. I believed it. And that's the reason I was party to some things in the past that today I feel shame to think that I even had part in them.
If the governing body of the Watchtower Society holds and enjoys the power, then they must also bear the responsibility. The truth is, they don't. Nothing better illustrates this than their false prophecy concerning 1975.
Well, when the Society brought out the date 1975, I felt right away that this is going to be the date when the thing has to happen, because there was no other date beyond 1975 that anybody could point to. So I grabbed right a hold of it as it was a thing to do, and I put all my hopes in it.
By the mid-60s, the Watchtower Society had all but guaranteed that the world would come to an end in 1975. It was a prophecy that would bring in a flood of new members, and the organization prospered. But it would have other effects on the ordinary Jehovah's Witness.
We thought Armageddon was coming in 1975. So I did not have a career. I didn't go to college because the end was so close. There was no need. The new world would be here.
I was a senior in high school, and the circuit overseer, which is a traveling minister, advised me that it's best for you to quit school and go into full-time pioneer work because the world is going to end in 1975.
And we felt so strongly about the imminent approach of 1975 and that this whole system was coming to an end that we sold our home in Lower Michigan, moved north, built a Kingdom Hall, and there we intended to live out those few remaining years, having saved just enough money to go a few years beyond 1975. And so it was a great disappointment and distress when this event that the Watchtower had prophesied did not materialize.
I wanted to get married, I wanted to have children, but because the end was so close, when Fred and I got married, we decided that we would postpone having children. So I believe we sacrificed a lot within the organization. Well, when the end of the world didn't come in 1975, and that prophecy of the Watchtower failed, I began to wonder if they were wrong on this, how many others are they wrong on?
And once again, Watchtower fact was revealed as nothing more than contrived fantasy.
They are quick to deny their prophecies for the end of the world.
We do not, nor have we attempted, to predict a day or a time for it.
The history and prophecies of the Watchtower Society are easily revealed as fabrications and distortions by simply reading the material they've published from the beginning.
Their greatest enemy is their own literature, which clearly shows the man-made nature of their theology. Jehovah's Witness leaders have continually covered up and rewritten their ever-changing doctrines, each time presenting them as new light. The one thing the Watchtower Society cannot tolerate in the organization is critical thinking. That's why they forbid their followers to read any material which might expose their deceptions.
Really shocked me to my core was this, and every other Jehovah's Witness listening to this, is that we were so convinced that the leadership, the governing body, would never tell one lie. They would always speak the truth, no matter what the truth was. That is a fabrication. It is a lie. They have lied to us. They have deceived us. And we have the documented evidence. And because we've spoken about it, we were silenced or threatened to be silenced. And that's what will happen to any Jehovah's Witness listening to this program. And he knows it in his heart. He knows it in his heart.
If you are saying that the Watchtower Society, the Jehovah's Witnesses, are the only way to God, that's what they were saying, and you participated in that in most of your adult life, why is it that you changed your mind?
The basic reason that I changed my mind was that Jehovah's Witnesses claim to be speaking for God. The Bible says if you are speaking for God, the prophecies that you make, the statements that you make have to be absolutely true. They have to happen. Jehovah's Witnesses announced the end of the world for 1874, 1879, 1881, 1914, 1918, 1925, 1975. And now they display that new disease called loss of memory. They can't remember ever predicting the end of the world.
Give me an example of documented.
I have with me a copy of the Watchtower magazine, August 15th, 1968. It says, "Why are you looking forward to 1975?
And why were they?
Because they said that the world would end prior to October 1st, 1975, because the 6,000 years of man's existence will end in October, and Armageddon has to come before the last 1,000 years.
Were they talking about a spiritual ending or a real solid?
No, they're talking about a real
disappear?
fumigation of the earth of everybody but Jehovah's Witnesses.
They actually said that?
Absolutely.
And did the Kingdom Halls, did they actually, were they expecting that? Had it up on the wall, mark this date, this is going to happen?
Well, I can remember back that far, too, when we were at the Kingdom Hall in California. During that time, there was a thermometer on the back door of the Kingdom Hall, and it was marking the months till October the 1st, 1975, when, like Bill had said, 6,000 years of human existence would come to an end, marking the beginning of the millennial reign of Christ, and in fact the Battle of Armageddon, when the earth would be, all wickedness would be done away with. So it was continually in front of us at every meeting and at every gathering. It was always right there. It was always preached from the platform. 1975 is the date. Be faithful to the society.
All right, now Deuteronomy 18. Everybody that looks at their Bible realizes there's a definition of a true and a false prophet that's given there. Refresh our memories on what it actually says.
We always
about
need
true or
two
false
witnesses
prophet.
to establish a matter. One is Deuteronomy 18:21, John, that you mentioned. This is the clear definition. If you want to know the answer to this question, if you are sincere, How may I know a word that does not come from YHWH? If a prophet speaks in the authority, the name of YHWH, and if a word does not come true or come to pass, the prophet has spoken it presumptuously, you need not be afraid of him. Jesus also said that in Matthew 7:15. You will recognize the false prophets by their fruit. The fruit of a false prophet has to be false prophecies.
The word that you're spelling out for people that don't understand, Y-H-H, what was that again? Tell us what that means.
Tetragrammaton is the four-lettered word that refers to God. In Hebrew, it means I am, that he is the eternal one.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
If you like the truth about the Watchtower Society's history of false prophecies being exposed, please give the video a thumbs up. Here are some more videos on the Jehovah Witnesses.